Hey Dave, man, what's your status on the mandatory versus Canelo? Have you petitioned the WBC for a Canelo fight yet, or to go ahead and vacate?
I mean, I've been #1 contender for the past 3 years. I don't feel like I had a position for anything, because what the fuck is the point of you winning the title eliminator, the interim title, and being there for 3 years? I've heard some where they said that, oh, I lost my opportunity because I chose to go to 175. There was no talk and no nothing about me fighting for no fight with Canelo. So then how does that make sense? Like, oh, okay, he goes to 175, he misses opportunity. That's some bullshit in his own. You know what I mean? And I've been holding that in for a long, long time. I've been #1 contender for the past 3 years. I've been there, beat the guys that told me they told me I had to beat them. And now that I see another opportunity to go up to get another title, now I lost my opportunity. It just doesn't make sense. And it doesn't make sense how they're saying that they're going to give me 10 days to make my decision on what I want to do. Bro, what the fuck? What about when I was there for 3 years?
The boxing ratings have gotten so crooked that they're a waste of time even checking. I guess the only thing you can use the boxing rankings for now is to see if there are any good underrated fighters you are not familiar with. But even that is a task now, with all the politics involved in the rankings. It's crazy that champions can't be ranked in an organization where they are not the champion. So, if you are the WBO champ, you can't be ranked in the WBC. It can't succeed by doing this sort of thing. As a lifelong boxing fan, it is becoming hard for me to take the sport seriously. AJ versus Jake Paul has been pushing 50 ranked as top fighters. Dubois pulled out against Parker, then got brutally KO'd by Dubois, so he's definitely the second best heavyweight in the world. On days like this, professional wrestling has more credibility than professional boxing. I agree to some extent. Although Dana White underpays the fuck out of his fighters, they have one belt organization, the best is constantly fighting the best, and the corruption is minimal. Boxing will keep suffering and be seen as a gimmick if it proceeds along the lines of putting an active former world champion to fight a fucking YouTuber. Sanctioning bodies, in general, have a bad rap for being essentially extortion organizations in boxing. You fight for this belt, put in a full training camp, give up a lot of your time, and go without smashing your girl for months just to win your fight, and then have to pay 3% of your purse to them. For what reason, I have no fucking idea. I guess it's just because your fight will be a title fight, and 3% might sound like nothing, but if you are making Tyson Fury money, that is a substantial amount, and 3% is just for one organization. If you are undisputed, you have to multiply that number by 4. So you are giving away 12% of your purse because you are undisputed, essentially getting shafted for being the best. So, in my opinion, these sanctioning bodies need to either be merged, or people need to stop fighting for their belts so the organizations become irrelevant, because these bodies are just corrupted. And the worst offender of this corruption is by far the WBC. They are constantly involved in controversies. It's like a fucking scammer is running that place. Every other day, you see some new WBC belt popping up out of nowhere. Imagine they made a belt for Jake Paul versus Tommy Fury. And to make matters worse, they decided to rank Tommy Fury after beating fucking Jake Paul. He was ranked above Vidal Riley. These guys are so corrupted that people could fail a drug test, and they adjust the parameters for failure for the specific drug. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the WBC's golden child, Canelo Alvarez. After Canelo fought my GOAT, Triple G, for the second time, he tested positive for clenbuterol. He claimed he got it from eating cow balls or some bullshit. But what did the WBC do? They raised the f***ing limit for failure for clenbuterol. And if you think that is where the protection of Canelo by the WBC stops, you are out of your mind. David Benavidez was the mandatory challenger for Canelo for years, but instead of ordering Canelo to fight Benavidez or be stripped, they allowed Canelo to fight a bunch of bums and duck Benavidez until Benavidez had enough of Canelo holding up the division and moved up to light heavyweight. Anyway, with all that being said, that brings us to the topic for today, where the WBC proves that they are as incompetent as ever and have a bunch of bogus rankings. We got this article from Boxing 24/7 speaking about the situation. New WBC rankings causing quite a stir. Pacquiao NO. 1 at welter, Dubois NO. 2 at heavyweight, Munguia NO. 2 at super middle. Upon browsing today's latest boxing headlines and articles, it's clear there are several stories that focus on the new rankings that the WBC has put out. Fans may have already read how Manny Pacquiao, who is coming off a draw with WBC welterweight champ Mario Barrios and has not won a fight since way back in 2019, is the new #1 ranked contender at 147 pounds. Sure, Pacquiao gave a good, even surprisingly good, account of himself in holding Barrios to a draw, but as much as we all love Manny, does he deserve to be ranked as the #1 welterweight contender in the world? Short answer is absolutely not. Just taking a look at the 147 rankings, let's see who he is ranked over. He is ranked over Liam Porro, Jack Catterall, Conor Benn, Ryan Garcia, Emantar Stanionis, Abel Ramos, and a lot more solid opponents. I must admit that division is not as star-studded as a lot of the other divisions, but it's particularly unfair that Manny could come back after years of not fighting, get a draw with one of the worst champions in boxing, and it's even crazy that he got that chance in the first place. But anyway, we'll let it slide. He should not be the #1 contender for the championship when there are other opponents who have been fighting people in the top 15 consistently and have not yet gotten a shot at the title. The WBC is known for doing shit like this. Roy Jones was able to relinquish his title, and after 2 fighters fought for the vacant title, one of them winning, Roy Jones was reinstated as the champion, even though someone else had already become champ by winning the vacant belt. If that shit isn't corruption, I don't know what is. The WBC should just come out and say they are a scam, for fuck's sake. At heavyweight, Daniel Dubois, who was previously unranked by the WBC as he held the title of a rival organization, the IBF belt, has been placed at NO2. This despite the fact that Dubois is coming off a KO loss to unified heavyweight ruler Alexander Usyk. You might wonder why the folks at the Mauricio Suleiman-headed team believe Dubois should be ranked so highly, above fighters like Efa Jagba, Moses Itoma, and Deontay Wilder, or perhaps not. At super middleweight, Hamza Shiraz, undoubtedly due to his big KO win over Edgar Berlanga, now sits at the top of the WBC rankings, which means, interim champ Christian Billy aside, Shiraz is the most deserving next challenger for unified 168-pound champ Canelo Alvarez. There is no reason for Parker not to be ranked at the top of these divisions since Daniel had his shot at the champ twice and came up short both times. Parker is currently on a run of solid opponents. I think I even saw reports of Daniel not wanting the fight currently or something of the sort. I'm not sure, so don't fucking crucify me for not knowing exactly. But it should be fair at the very least. If someone got brutally knocked out twice trying to get the title, they should have to work their way up from the bottom to get another shot at the title and let the person who was next in line get their shot. They shouldn't be lingering at the top of the championship rankings after losing twice. Also, with Hamza, he should not by any means be ranked #1 after beating Bumlanga. That dude is one of the biggest hype jobs in boxing today. He made a name for himself not from winning, but from not being knocked out by an old washed-up Canelo. Hamza is a good fighter, but that win definitely does not put him close to deserving a title. And no, this is not about these fighters. I'm sure they didn't tell the WBC to put them there. This is about the incompetence and corruption going on at these sanctioning bodies. And on a side note, why did the author mention Wilder? Wilder is washed and should probably retire unless he wants to fight the up-and-comers, because I can't see him beating any of the top guys anymore. It seems like either the fire in Wilder is gone or people have figured out how to beat him, starting with Tyson Fury. I'm not one for saying people should retire after a few losses. As a matter of fact, I would love for the undefeated nonsense to stop so we can see the best fight the best, instead of protecting their illusion of invincibility that is their zero and boxing fans losing interest in fighters as soon as they lose once. But in the case of Wilder, it's clear he wants the top guys, but it seems like he can't compete with them anymore. Shiraz, after just one fight at 168 pounds, is now the #1 challenger. Also raising some eyebrows here is the fact that Jamie Munguia, who of course recently failed a drugs test and was removed from the WBC rankings in July as a result, is now back in at NO2. Why? You may well ask. Speaking again about Pacquiao, he and his supporters will now be able to bang the drum even louder for that rematch with Barrios, and Pacman would once again receive full blessing by the WBC. Rankings are tough to compile at times, sure, but have the powers that be at the WBC fouled up a few times with regards to their latest world rankings? Yeah, guys. It's sad to know that these sanctioning bodies are just doing as they please essentially, and there are zero penalties for them. But they pick and choose who they penalize. Benavidez was done very dirty by the WBC for years, them having Canelo pick easy fights while there is a mandatory fighting the top guys and asking for his chance to at least fight for the championship. He did everything he was supposed to do, fought top contenders, defended his interim belt, only to have Bumlanga get a chance that he was deserving of, and them giving Manny a chance to fight for the belt immediately after coming back just because they would get more money in sanctioning fees is atrocious. Allegedly, of course. This is why I think the WBC is by far the worst sanctioning body. Note, the others are not good either, but the WBC is by far the worst. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. I'm curious to hear in the comments down below. Subscribe and like, and watch this video about Turkey putting Beterbiev to fight bums before the Bivol trilogy. Anyways, I see you over there.